There we go.
How to solve inverse functions with square roots. Now, this is an example of what you'd most likely be seeing. Now, the first step is to get y by itself. So how do we do that? There's obviously no y. Well, first you have to get rid of this, turn it into its original form, which would be y equals x squared plus 1. But you could see that y is already by itself, so that's why you switch them. So instead of y being here, it will be x, and then y will be over here, plus 1. What do we do then? Well, our main goal is to get y by itself. So we need to do a little deletion. So in order to do that, we have to subtract 1 from plus 1. Those delete, and whatever you do to one side, you bring it to the other. So we do that. And then you'd have to rewrite it again, which would be x minus 1 equals y squared. Now, you might think that y squared is by itself, but it's not. So what do? It's a square root. Well, it's simple. Well, it's not a square root, but it's an exponent. But what do exponents mean? It means it's a square root. And these will delete. And whatever you do to one side, you do it to the other. And now you rewrite the whole equation once again. Now finally, we have y by itself. But we're still not quite done. We need to turn it into an inverse. How do we do that? Well, it's simple. The inverse is f1x. And then we simply plug it in. And there you have it. But what if you have something like this? The opposite of what we just did. Well, we have to do all of these same steps, but with different numbers and letters. So we'll put it in its original form. And what do we do after that? Well, we simply switch them. Now, how do we get this y by itself? Well, it might seem a bit tricky, but you simply just add an exponent. And whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. What do you do after that? Well, same thing we did over here. We do deletion. These cancel out, and whatever you do to one side, you do it to the other. Rewrite that again. And what do we do after that? Well, we make it into an inverse. And that's how you do inverse functions.